a member of the House of Representatives from Plateau State under the platform of the All Progressives Congress, Yusuf Gagdi, has joined the speakership race for the 10th National Assembly. Gagdi, who is the chairman of the Committee on Navy and the 9th Assembly and a former deputy speaker in Plateau State Assembly, says he will, however, wait and respect his party's eventual decision on zoning. The lawmaker, who is representing Panchikin Kankei Kanam Federal Constituency of Plateau State, has been meeting colleagues in the Green Chamber to position himself in the event. The speakership is zoned to the North Central, where he hails from. Gagdi has set a record as the first-term federal lawmaker to have 6 self-sponsored bills assented by the president. One of the bills Gagdi moved was for the repeal and reenactment of the Police Act.
Now, the more the race for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly intensifies, the more the members who are expressing their interest to take the mantle. Now, one of them is the lawmaker from Delta State under the All Progressive Congress, Francis Waive, who is also pressing for the position of the Deputy Speaker. Honorable Waive joins us now to provide an assessment of the 9th Assembly, his aspirations, and the kind of leadership he hopes to bring to the 10th National Assembly. I want to say good afternoon and thank you for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
But you're right, Honorable. Let's start it off on this particular note. A lot of Nigerians, or the impression Nigerians get, is an impression of disappointment because the feelers and the body language of the 9th Assembly is one of a rubber stamp assembly, that everything and anything that comes to the chambers are just simply approved without scrutiny, without inquest, or without deep thinking to the repercussions of this. Talk to us about this.
No, I'll disagree with you completely. I think what the Nigerians are doing is a carryover of what they expect, judging from what happened in the 8th Assembly. So they were expecting that fight to continue between the legislature and the executive. But you would know that that fight did no good to our country. So this 9th Assembly decided that we're going to follow a different approach. Constructive engagement, not rubber stamping. There are several executive bills, executive decisions that we question, that we remember the issue of the change of the service chiefs. I can go on and on. You remember the Electoral Act, how it went back and forth. So we've done our job. We've provided the required scrutiny. We have done what at the Senate level, for example. Some nominees had been rejected at one point or the other. So you can't say that it's a rubber stamp.
Right, Honorable.
That we have not been in combat.
Right, Honorable. You permit me to just...
Most Nigerians expect us to be in combat, and that is not what lawmaking is about.
Right, Honorable. You permit me to just probably clarify. Certainly, the 9th Assembly did a fantastic job in some of these areas you're talking about. But several people fear that the 9th Assembly almost gave up our future because the levels of approvals for borrowings that this government has actually made was bordering on ridiculous, because a lot of people kept on asking that these monies were too much, these monies were too exorbitant, and at every given point in time, there was just a rubber stamp and there were just approvals given for the federal government to borrow and keep borrowing.
You know that life in itself, your own personal economics, there comes a time when you need a gap to bridge the gap in your income and expenditure flow. So to borrow in itself is not a crime. And our country has been borrowing and repaying. And for this assembly, we have scrutinized every request for a loan request. The challenge is that most Nigerians want us to refuse everything. So they don't even notice those ones where we'll send it back, we ask for more details, where we ask for a change of the source, where we ask for the previous, what has happened to the previous, and all of that. We have done our job, our oversight job, as the legislature ought to do. The Ninth Assembly has done that.
Indeed, Honorable Waive. Now, why the position of Deputy Speaker? What's there stopping you from running for the speakership position? And I'll also like your thoughts on zoning when it comes to issue of leadership positions in the National Assembly.
Yes, by the way, let me call by names as is appropriately pronounced by the Urobo people. Francis Ejirogene Waive.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. We were just having the thought about it just before we came on to you. Waive, many thanks on that. Go ahead.
And I'm running for the position of Deputy Speaker because in politics you've got to study the terrain. You've got to look at the body language of the players. And you find that you have a president from the Southwest. You look at how it is going, and you know that something will definitely come to your zone, and you go for that. You don't go for what will definitely be outside your zone. But what will stop me if the party decides that the speakership should come to the South-South? So I'm going to respect the party position. My ambition is subject to the party decision because the All Progressives Congress have given me a platform to run once and again, and today I can run for the deputy speakership, which I sense that the party will zone to the South-South.
Very good, Honorable. Now, in a recent comment, you said your antecedents have been that of service to humanity. So how has your constituents, whom you represent, how can they relate to this?
Oh, sure. All my life, I have been one who has the passion to serve. And that is what has driven me into politics. And that is what is driving me into running for the deputy speakership of the 10th House of Representatives. I want to serve. I believe things can be done better. I believe our country can be better. I believe that good people should join politics. I believe that good people should offer themselves. For the good people of Ugele North, Ugele South, and Udu, the last 4 years they can testify of the dividend of democracy. If you talk about oversight and infrastructural development, a minimum of 15 schools have had interventions from me in terms of state-of-the-art classrooms, fully furnished, 15 schools in the 3 local governments. We talk about electricity. God has helped me using the clout of my office as Deputy Chair of the House Committee on Power in the 9th Assembly to bring back electricity to several communities that were out of the national grid before I came into office. Not to talk about provision of transformers and all of that. Then for the core duty of lawmaking, the recent release by the other paper shows that I am one of those lawmakers who have the highest number of bills in the 9th Assembly. And I'm sure my people are proud that I'm not there just warming the bench, but contributing to national development. My bills include the bill to exclude the police from the contributory pension fund, like their colleagues in the armed forces, the establishment bill for the Federal Medical Center, another establishment bill for College of Nursing and Midwifery in Otugere, and so on and so forth. For example, before now, it's been criminal to attempt suicide, 1 year jail term. That's one of the bills I've proposed, that instead of jail term, there should be psychosocial counseling for those who attempt counseling. And so on. About 38 bills I've done within these 4 years. One of the highest among my colleagues in the Ninth Assembly.
All right, Honorable Waive, please permit me to throw two questions your way. First of all, let's look at the National Assembly in focus itself. As we actually get into this 10th Assembly and where key positions will be legislated upon, talk to us about if religion or legislators' religious proclivities should play into who becomes probably the Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Reps, and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps. And the second question is this. You are from Delta State, and the last Deputy Speaker was from Delta State. I'm sure people in the South will be thinking, the Deputy Speaker's position should not always go to Delta State, that it should be spread across the South if the zoning or if the formulas and the chess pieces are being moved right. Don't you think this might work against you? Let's get to hear from you.
No, I think you get it a bit mixed up.
Okay.
The current Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives is from Plateau State.
Oh, okay.
His Excellency Wase, Ahmed Wase. He is the current Right Honorable Ahmed Wase. Is the current Deputy Speaker. He's from Plateau State in the North Central. I'm currently going for speakership. So the Deputy Speakership of the House of Representatives has never come from Delta State. I'm sure you are mistaken what happened in the Senate. The Deputy President of the Senate. I think that's what you are missing up. You know, and so I don't see a situation where that will be an issue. It's a question of the South coming together and looking at all of us who are ranking members of the House of Representatives at the moment and who have shown interest in this office. And we look at our antecedents and look at how we have progressed. For example, for myself, I have a diploma in biblical studies, a second class upper in accounting, and then a master's in legislative studies. That will tell you my background that is solid to run for the office of Deputy Speaker. And in the 9th Assembly, I have actively participated in plenary, in committees, where oversight activities have taken me across the country. I won't be at the sitting, but other than that, I'm there at the sitting, so I know how the assembly works. I believe that my background, I'm a clergyman, a Christian clergyman. I believe that my colleagues will look at my personality, my temperament, and the fact that my colleagues, in fact, in the 9th Assembly, testify that I'm cool, cool-tempered, calculated, and unassuming. And I think they need somebody like me who they can approach, because we are talking about a gathering of 360 politicians who, in their own rights, can become governors, can become the president of the country, intelligent people, people who are successful politicians. So you're just going to be first or second among equals. And they need a person who they can reach out to at any point in time. And that is why I present myself for service. I'm not going to emphasize the religious aspect, the fact that I'm a Christian and a clergyman and all of that. I want to be assessed on my capabilities. I want to be assessed on my temperament. I want to be assessed on my education, on my relationship with members in the 9th Assembly. I think that is what we need going forward in the 10th Assembly.
Okay, let me just backtracking on that. I wanted to still get clarity on the move and also the wind that is actually blowing across the National Assembly in terms of who becomes I mentioned the Senate President and also the Deputy Senate President, and trickling down to the House of Reps. So also give us your thoughts about where should it swing to, and where should it actually, or where should people be leaning towards? Because I can remember you said
the question is more a party affair. Our party, the All Progressives Congress, I believe, the leadership, they are sitting, they are doing their calculus, and they are going to come out with something that will be acceptable, a formula, a zoning formula that will be popular and acceptable to Nigerians. And as a loyal party man, I'm looking forward to that being released. The days are getting nearer for our induction, and Nigerians just need to be patient a little bit, and this will come out.
Very good, Honorable Waive. You know, it's pretty interesting. You now have newly elected candidates vying for leadership positions, those who don't even have experience of legislative duties, you know, and they're vying for not just the APC, but beyond your party. So what are your thoughts, you know, in the composition of the 10th Assembly at this rate? There's nothing wrong with ambition here, but, you know, it's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, the challenge here is that some of our esteemed newcomers do not understand the way the assembly runs. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, gives the National Assembly the privilege to set up rules for its own, for the running of the House, both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and even at the State House of Assembly. And those rules indicate that a new assembly will run on the first day of its inauguration on the existing rules. And the current rule says that you must be a ranking member. You must have seen the House in operation. You must have known how things are run in the House. So if you are a former governor, you are a former whatever, by the time you come into the National Assembly, you are coming in as a first timer. And the current rules that will be at play at inauguration says only ranking members who have had at least one tenure in the chambers will be able to contest. So if anybody is nominated on D-Day who is not qualified, of course that nomination will be null and void. So only qualified candidates by ranking would be allowed to run for office. Presiding officers, for presiding officers.
Well, do you think these newbies, if I may use that word, newcomers as it were, are actually aware of this, you know, these rules you've just given us? Briefly, please.
Yeah, I'm sure many are aware. Many are aware, but this is politics. You've got to check the waters. You've got to make some noise. You've got to make a demand. Because in politics, if you don't ask, you don't get. So you ask and you push. Nobody serves it to you and gives it to you as a gift. So many of those who are pushing might be looking for something else.
All right,
position, I think.
Very briefly, let me just see if I can just throw this one in very briefly. There are fears that probably the Christians within the APC ranks that are actually ripe to actually take these positions are not pushing hard enough, because you said that probably the party will take a popular opinion and popular position in terms of who becomes leaders in this assembly. But looking at it, for the president and the vice president, it was a very unpopular opinion, and they might decide to toe that same line again.
Well, to say that the Christians are not pushing hard enough, I wouldn't agree totally with that, because I'm aware that of the 10 or so number who are pushing for the Senate presidency, for the speakership of the House, there are one or two, a number of Christians there. And I am here pushing for the deputy speakership, a renowned clergyman of many years standing. And you know that our party also produced the Reverend Father as a governor-elect in Benue. So I think it's a matter of how you play your politics. Each individual who is interested would need to approach each 360 members elect to get their support for election. And I think we are on good standing.
Very good. On that note, Francis Waive of the APC House of Reps member Ughelli North South Udu Federal Constituency Delta State would like to thank you for your perspective on those issues and wish you the best of luck in your bid to become the Deputy Speaker of the House.